Hello guys, today we're talking about the PS5 and talking about one problem with this console. Though man, we'll go over we'll go over one problem with the console that the Switch plagued the Nintendo Switch, but we'll be going over one problem that is plaguing the PS5 right now because the media is seeing how well the PS5 is selling, how well the PS5 has sold 2.5 million consoles. That must be pretty great, but there is a problem, and what is the problem? Is scalpers. We all know everybody hates them. Scalpers. If you remember collecting amiibos back in the day in 2014 and 2015, most of us normal people couldn't get amiibos because these evil people would collect so many of them that no one was allowed to get the amiibos, you know? And it's sort of the same thing with the PS5. The PS5, is being, scalpers, eBay for $9,500, okay? And they're now doing it with the Xbox Series X, but Badgers of Face PS5 scalpers have more inventory than scores. So are people really buying the PS5 with the real question? They're saying, oh, it's selling so well. Selling so well, but is the PS5 actually selling here? We have all of these reports and all these news coming out about the PS5. There was also Xbox Series X in a much smaller scale, but mostly it's for PS5 as well, because, so how many legitimate copies have been sold and were not sold by scalper bots, which is likely, boosting, so it's gonna be like, oh my god, our console sold like 8 million copies in a month, but then they should realize, but half of the 6 million of these copies were bought by scalpers. So I'm just using that as an estimate for the number for 8 million, 6 million. Okay, because you got the PS5 sales, Sony's like boasting about how great the console is. Saying, oh, we have the greatest games, even though it's just a remaster of Spider-Man, combined with a Spider-Man spin-off, and a remaster of a PS3 game as well. The big selling points of the console. None of the and Xbox, they literally have no games. So unless you want to buy indie games, but nobody buys consoles for indie game. I think that's so. No one's gonna buy an Xbox console. It's like no one's gonna buy oh yeah, we're gonna buy an Xbox for an indie game that nobody cares about. Okay, if you look at the Xbox, games, Series X. And another thing is the Xbox Series X is supposed to have assorted till April. But if you look at the games for the Xbox Series X, okay. Okay, the current game list. So, okay. The current games list. Here, the games, let's go games 2020. So we'll be excluding multi-plat games, like Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty, because fanboys of each console are going to buy the specific version. But we'll get the launch games for the Xbox Series X for the moment. Okay, most of these are reports of Xbox One games. Here, Ark Survival Evolved. Again, but what are the exclusives? Bright Memory, Enlisted. Okay. That's Nintendo Switch. Manifold Garden. All these indie games. Okay. Those are your exclusives. And people say, but indie games are amazing. Indie games are amazing. People no one buys consoles for indie game. And you can there's like 1 or 2 outliers out there. But no one buys a console for indie games. I'm just sorry to tell you this, that no one buys a console for an indie game. Okay. And Microsoft really needs to realize that, especially, okay? The Xbox One, if you look at the Xbox One, E3s, half the games they promote are indie games, okay? Half the games they promote, Sony, they promote their own games, a bunch of third-party games. And Xbox, they promote a bunch of indie games, okay? No one cares about, I'm just gonna use an example. We Happy Few. No one bought that game, okay? And Xbox is promoting like the next big thing, Here, okay. Here we have Survivalists and some other games. Here, Doom Eternal. Here was a product come out this year, and some other games that have a release date for this year, or probably not get a release date. Here, probably push to 2021, most of these release dates here. But yep, there we go. Xbox One. PS5, scalpers. That's a big issue for the PS5. Okay, we have go back PS5 sales. They're talking about how great the PS5 is selling. How great PS5 is selling, but how many of these copies were sold were bought by scalpers? That's the real question we want to know about the PS5. How many copies were bought by scalpers? Was a bad people. Okay, yeah. And so he says they promise to have more consoles. And they're saying PS5 most successful console launched in Spain. But how many of those copies were bought by scalpers? That's the real thing. Okay? Real thing. How many consoles were bought by scalpers? And yep, that's basically it. Goodbye.